Mr. Khan, you're very welcome to RT International. Thank you for your time today.
My pleasure.
On both a political and human level, it's been an extraordinary and, I imagine, stressful week for you, culminating today in an Islamabad court extending a no-arrest bail for 7 more days. So, firstly, how are you?
Well, in some ways, it's the best of times, and some ways it's the worst of times. Why is it the best of times? Because since I left office 4 months back, never has there been such a public response for any political party as it is for my party today. So in that sense, you know, it's for us, for a political person who's struggled for 26 years to raise awareness amongst the public, I think it is one of the best times for us. For my party, for me, it's very satisfying to see a politically aware public understanding issues, coming out on streets by themselves to stand up for their rights. On the other hand, it's a bad time in Pakistan because we are descending into fascism. We have a government which has no credibility amongst the people. We call it an imported government. The economy has tanked. Inflation has gone through the roof. It has lost all credibility. And so it is compensating by the lack of credibility, by imposing this draconian measures on us. They're clamping down on the media. They're clamping down against journalists. They've instituted various cases against me. One of them is a terrorism case, which is actually a joke. So it's bad in a way that the government is panicking. They're watching us grow in popularity. We swept the by-elections in the biggest province in Punjab. There were other 2 by-elections which we swept. So they're a bit scared, and that's why they're clamping down.
Since your speech on Saturday, where the opposition is alleging that you threatened the police and members of the judiciary, they have essentially been labelling you a terrorist. On terrorism charges is what you would be standing on. As someone who led the country just months ago, what do you feel when you hear that allegation against you?
Well, for your viewers, let me put it in context. One of the chief of my staff, of my office, he was picked up. He made a remark on television which was misconstrued as if he's trying to stir mutiny in the army. But it's debatable. He still hasn't got a chance to clarify what he said. He was actually talking about rule of law. They picked him up, they abducted him. 2 days, they kept him and tortured him. They sexually tortured him. So what happened was that this report is now in the High Court of the torture of my aide, which is Shabazz Gill. And so I made 2 remarks. I said we will not spare those people who are responsible, i.e. the police chief and his second in command. We said we would take legal action against them. And then there was this magistrate who, knowing that he was tortured, still sent him back to the police. So we said we would take legal action against both the magistrate and the police. Now, this does not constitute terrorism. But they're so desperate, they have made this into a terrorism case. They banned my live coverage on screen, and they're trying to ban me from politics because there's a case of contempt against me. So it is what I feel is desperation, because this does not constitute terrorism in any sense of the word. You are asking to take legal action against those officials who allowed this torture which is banned in Pakistan. This does not mean that you're a terrorist. So, but it's their desperation. They are petrified that if elections take place, we will sweep the elections.
That's what I was going to ask. Your supporters say this is all a campaign by the ruling leadership to remove you from the political landscape altogether. So who or what, in your view, is behind this campaign to silence you?
Well, the government. The government is behind it because, they came in through a conspiracy, and the conspiracy was foreign-backed. And then what they expected was that once I was removed, I would lose all popularity amongst the public. Normally when a government goes, people distribute sweets. So they expected that, this would just die down, my party would disappear, break up. But the reverse happened. People came out on the streets. Millions of people came out on the streets when I was removed, protesting against this. It's never happened in Pakistan before, that a government goes and people come out in the streets to protest. And then, as I said before, we had massive rallies. They tried to crack down on us, thinking that they would scare us. But the rallies increased. We, out of the 20 by-elections in Punjab, we swept 15. And then there were 2 other by-elections which we won. So this has scared them. They are now fearing that whenever the next elections are, which the outside are in a year's time, they are petrified that when the elections take place, they will be wiped out. So that's why they're trying to take these measures. And it's really the government and its backers. They're all worried.
Well, allow me to delve into some of the issues you've brought up. If we go back, Mr. Khan, to when you were ousted from power in the springtime, you've mentioned several times that certain documents exist that confirm foreign interference in your removal from power. Are you in any position to tell us what those documents may be?
Well, there's a cipher, that conversation between the Pakistan ambassador in Washington and the Under Secretary of State of the US. There's a conversation between them where he threatens